I suppose I should start. We have 2 Air Force bases in North Dakota, so Ms. Sullivan, do you have any update on PFOA or PFOS contamination on any DOD facilities in North Dakota?
I tend to, honestly, sir, I'm a policy person, so I look at overall. I defer to the military departments on site-specific, but we can get you
Yeah, I fully
detailed,
so thank you.
detailed background on North Dakota.
So when DOD learns of water contamination issue are above the lifetime ban, right?
Correct.
What are the immediate steps that go into place to protect the drinking water on the base?
Oh, on the base, we immediately, as soon as EPA issued the lifetime health advisory, we directed everywhere where we are the purveyor of drinking water worldwide. There are 524 systems we operate to immediately test using EPA's test method, and if there was above the lifetime health advisory, to immediately provide alternative drinking water. So all of that occurred over the summer of 2016. For those installations where we buy water from the local community, we ask the military installations to work with the local purveyor to see if they would voluntarily adopt EPA's lifetime health advisory in the water that we're buying from them for our installation. So by the end of the summer, that summer of 2016, no one on a military base was drinking water above the lifetime health advisory.
And so when the EPA issued their action plan last month, I mean, it's pursuing a hazardous substance designation. Do you think there's any steps the EPA can help you in any current cleanup efforts or future cleanup efforts? I mean, we're talking about interagency coordination. This is a pretty big one.
Yes. And we work closely with EPA, my additional career staff works closely with Dave's career staff. Actually, it's very interesting because PFAS and PFOA are considered what is called a hazardous substance, a pollutant or contaminant under the Comprehensive Environmental Response CERCLA, under CERCLA. We are already in. So we have already begun the whole process. So designating as a hazardous substance under CERCLA is actually not going to make a difference in terms of our going out and investigating sites and laying out the cleanup path. It will actually do more to ensure that all of the sites across the nation are also looking to the degree that the Department of Defense is already looking.
And I guess in my former life, before I got involved in this line of work, I was a volunteer fireman. So I think when we talk about firefighting, people think of actually fighting fires. But significantly, what you do as a fireman is training. And so when the military conducts training exercises, does it use AFFF products, or does it use, containing PF?
So in January 2016, which was before EPA issued their lifetime health advisory, we actually instructed people to stop using it in training and testing. They use, for the most part, water. For that, and when they actually have to use it to fight a fire, that they contain it to make sure that it doesn't get into the groundwater. So we do not, we're not requiring the use of it as part of testing and training and maintenance in the day-to-day activities.
I guess then
except for shipboard.
And then I guess my follow-up question to that, have you done any testing since, and has the department seen any reduction in these chemicals in either your water supplies or the surrounding water supplies since you made that train? Because I got to assume training was using the vast majority of these chemicals as opposed to actual firefighting. So
correct.
By switching, have you seen a reduction?
I have not tracked that information, honestly, sir, because the groundwater situation, most of it is so long-term that this is an evolving issue. Right now, we're trying to determine the extent of the presence in the groundwater around our bases, how far it is, where it's flowing, so we can design the right system to contain it, now that we've cut off human exposure through drinking water.
Thank you. And then I think just one question, and I think it's for actually both of you, you're working with different agencies, and obviously bases exist all over. How are we working with the Department of Agriculture to make sure that we're not mitigating into surrounding farmland or cropland?
Maureen, I can take that. In fact, the administrator, I've actually talked to USDA because there's a dairy situation out in New Mexico. And so I talked to USDA within the last couple of weeks, getting more information about that. The administrator just last week issued a memo directing the Office of Research and Development as part of our action plan. We have a very robust research component to specifically take a look at the cross-section between groundwater contamination and agriculture use. And so we'll be setting up meetings with USDA, FDA, and our research staff to work that very issue. The administrator issued that memo last week.
And I would add to that that we believe that this is a nationwide problem that does need a whole-of-government solution. So we would encourage USDA and the Food and Drug Administration to get engaged.
Thank you both.